Is the world preparing for yet another war when Trump gives the order to strike Iran? Let's figure this out together. Relations between Iran and the United States have been in a critical phase of conflict for decades. After the Islamic Revolution, Iran became Washington's main adversary in the Middle East. However, in recent years, after the start of a new prolonged conflict between Israel and neighboring Arab countries, the conflict has escalated to the stage of a potential war. According to journalists and American intelligence, Iran is preparing to develop nuclear weapons, which is absolutely unacceptable to the American authorities. The United States has already carried out strikes on Iranian military bases where nuclear weapons are potentially being developed as an unequivocal signal. This has not stopped Tehran, and the Iranian authorities continue their nuclear program. According to journalists, the President of the United States has already made a fateful decision. So the most important question is what happens next? And will we witness a new war on the continent? Let's take a look and figure it out. We'll tell you everything, and we ask you to subscribe and like this video. So let's get started. According to Axios, citing its own sources, US President Donald Trump is close to making a decision on a large-scale military operation against Iran. Sources claim that the possible campaign could be large-scale, last several weeks, and resemble a full-scale war more than a limited operation. A scenario involving joint actions by the United States of America and Israel is being considered. According to the publication's sources, such an operation could be broader in scale and more serious in its consequences for the Iranian leadership than the 12-day war of June 2025, when Israel acted first and then the United States joined in striking underground nuclear facilities. If such a scenario is realized, its consequences could extend far beyond the region. The Middle East remains a key hub of global security and energy, and any escalation could affect the interests of Europe and other world centers of power. At the same time, the diplomatic track remains extremely complicated. On February 17th, American negotiators Stephen Witkoff and Jared Kushner held a 3-hour meeting with Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi in Geneva. Despite statements about progress, sources note differences on key issues and say that these differences persist. American officials are not showing optimism about the possibility of resolving them. Against this backdrop, the military presence of the United States in the region is expanding. According to reports, the group includes 2 aircraft carriers, about a dozen warships, 100 fighter jets, and several air defense systems. Some of the forces continue to be redeployed to the Middle East. According to sources, such a concentration of resources makes it more difficult for Washington to withdraw without securing significant concessions regarding Iran's nuclear program. Some American officials suggest that a decision could be made within weeks. At the same time, there are assessments that the likelihood of military action in the near future remains surprisingly high. After the negotiations on February 17th, Iran was offered to submit a detailed proposal within 2 weeks. Earlier, in June of 25th year, a 2-week deadline was also set before the strikes on Iranian facilities, but the operation began after just 3 days. The media note that there are few signs of a diplomatic breakthrough, while indications of a possible escalation are increasing every day. This is also hinted at by Trump's statements at the first peace summit, which took place on February 19th. The US president stated that either bad things will happen with Iran or a deal will be made within 10 days. We must reach a meaningful agreement, otherwise bad things will happen. Maybe we will make a deal. You will probably find out about it within the next 10 days, said the President of the United States of America. Well, as we can see, so far there is no talk of signing any agreements. These are in fact the scenes from that peace summit which took place on February 19th and at which Trump made such a statement now on your screens. Against the backdrop of rising tensions, additional attention is being drawn to satellite analysis data reported by Reuters. According to the agency, Iran is restoring nuclear and missile infrastructure facilities that were previously damaged by strikes from the United States and Israel, and is also strengthening their defenses. The publication examines changes at key sites. In particular, it refers to the Parchin military complex, located about 30 kilometers southeast of Tehran. This facility is considered one of the central elements of Iran's nuclear program. According to Western intelligence estimates, it is there that tests related to the detonation of nuclear charges may have been conducted in the past. And here it should be added that after Israel's strike on October 24th, several buildings on the complex territory were destroyed. However, images from as early as October 25th already showed new structures. Later images revealed that the new facilities are hidden beneath a concrete protective structure, and on top of that, they are additionally covered with soil, presumably to increase their resistance to possible repeated attacks. Similar processes are being observed at the nuclear complex in Isfahan. A significant portion of Iran's enriched uranium reserves is stored in its underground area. After a U.S. airstrike in June of last year, the entrances to 3 underground tunnels were destroyed. According to satellite data, all the entrances were later covered with soil. Experts suggest that such measures may reduce the facility's vulnerability to new strikes and complicate potential special forces operations if the goal is to seize or destroy highly enriched uranium. Special attention is also given to the Shiraz missile base. It is located in the south of the country. This is one of the sites capable of launching medium-range ballistic missiles. Compared to images from July 2025 and late January 2026, the restoration of the logistics and presumably command complex can be seen. At the same time, it is concluded that the facility has not yet fully regained its previous operational capacity. Similar work is being carried out at the Qom missile base, which is located about 150 kilometers south of Tehran. The base sustained moderate damage during the 12-day war last year, and current images show construction and repair work underway. Reuters summarizes this story by saying that satellite data makes it possible to assess Iran's actions at sites that are at the center of tensions with Israel and the United States. These developments are taking place at a time when Washington is seeking to persuade Tehran to agree to a nuclear deal on its own terms, accompanying diplomatic pressure with the threat of military action in the event that negotiations fail. To understand the depth of the current crisis that is unfolding, it is important to consider the historical context of the relationship between the United States of America and Iran. Until 1979, Iran was an ally of Washington. After World War II, the United States regarded the country as a strategic stronghold against Soviet influence in the Middle East. A key episode occurred in 1953, when, with the involvement of the CIA, Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh, who had nationalized the oil industry, was overthrown. These events consolidated the power of Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, who pursued a pro-Western policy and relied on the support of the United States of America. At the same time, dissatisfaction with the authoritarian model of governance and dependence on the West was growing within the country. The turning point came in 1979. The Islamic Revolution led to the overthrow of the Shah, and Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini came to power. The new regime declared the United States of America the Great Satan. In November of that same year, Iranian students seized the American embassy in Tehran, holding 52 diplomats hostage for 444 days. This crisis led to the severance of diplomatic relations, which have not been restored to this day. In the 1980s, tensions only increased. During the Iran-Iraq War from 1980 to 1988, the United States effectively supported Saddam Hussein's Iraq, fearing the spread of the Islamic Revolution. In 1988, an American missile cruiser mistakenly shot down an Iranian passenger plane, resulting in the deaths of 290 people. This episode became one of the most tragic symbols of mutual hostility. Since the 1990s, sanctions have become a key instrument of pressure. Washington accused Tehran of supporting terrorist organizations, including Hezbollah, as well as developing a nuclear program. In the 2000s, tensions increased amid claims that Iran might be developing nuclear weapons. Iran claimed that its program was peaceful in nature, but Western countries expressed serious doubts. In 2015, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action was signed, an agreement on Iran's nuclear program. The participants included Iran, the United States, Russia, China, the United Kingdom, France, and Germany. During Barack Obama's presidency, the United States eased sanctions in exchange for restrictions and oversight of Tehran's nuclear program. However, in 2018, the President of the United States at the time, Donald Trump, announced the U.S. withdrawal from the agreement and the reinstatement of strict economic sanctions, thereby initiating a policy of maximum pressure. In response, Iran gradually stopped adhering to the restrictions on uranium enrichment. The region once again found itself on the brink of open military confrontation. In January 2020, the United States carried out a strike against Iranian General Qasem Soleimani in Baghdad. Iran responded with strikes on American bases in Iraq. This became the most direct military episode between the countries in recent decades. Later, Iranian forces mistakenly shot down a Ukrainian passenger plane, which caused an international outcry. Currently, the United States continues its policy of sanctions, while Iran is expanding its nuclear program and strengthening its position through allies in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Yemen. That is the story as it stands now. Let's hope together that we won't see a new hotspot on the world map, and we'll keep following the updates. As soon as they appear, we'll let you know. Subscribe, leave a like, and see you in future broadcasts. Take care of yourselves.